Unbelievable. Stephanie Vaquer slaps Dominik Mysterio after Liv Morgan's insane insult. Stephanie Vaquer just delivered the slap heard around the wrestling world after Liv Morgan crossed a line so disgusting that even Dominik Mysterio looked shocked. And what happened on Raw wasn't just a women's division catfight, it was Stephanie defending her family's honor after Liv made comments so vile and personal that they can never be taken back. And here's what's going to make you absolutely lose your mind. Dominik was standing there smiling during Liv's insult, proving he's become so corrupted by the Judgment Day that he'll let his own allies disrespect the woman he claims to care about. And Stephanie's slap wasn't just aimed at him, it was a declaration that she's done being associated with Dominik's toxic faction and is ready to burn down everyone who disrespected her. Because what Liv Morgan said wasn't PG-era trash talk. It was a deeply personal attack that referenced Stephanie's family, her heritage, and her worth as a person in ways that WWE should have never allowed on television. And Stephanie's response, slapping Dominik so hard his head snapped sideways, has created the most explosive women's division storyline in years while exposing just how far WWE will go for edgy content. Monday Night Raw opened with a Judgment Day segment in the ring. Dominik Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Finn Balor, and the rest of the faction cutting their typical "We Run Raw" promo. Dominik was talking about how the Judgment Day is WWE's most dominant force, how everyone should acknowledge their superiority, the usual heel faction rhetoric. Then Stephanie Vaquer's music hit. The crowd erupted because Stephanie has been one of Raw's fastest rising stars since her debut. Incredible in-ring ability, natural charisma, and a fire that makes her incredibly compelling. She's been loosely associated with Dominik through their on-screen flirtation storyline, but she's never officially joined the Judgment Day. Stephanie walked to the ring and grabbed a microphone. "Dominik, I've been patient with you. I've supported you from ringside. I've helped you in matches. But I'm tired of being associated with the Judgment Day's garbage. You want me to officially join this group? Then you need to show me some respect first." The crowd was behind Stephanie because she was articulating what fans have been thinking, that she's too talented to be relegated to Dominik's girlfriend status in a heel faction that's become increasingly unlikable. That's when Liv Morgan grabbed a microphone, and what she said next made the entire arena go silent in shock. Liv started, "Respect? Respect? Stephanie, you want to talk about respect? Let me tell you what I think about you and your," and then Liv said something so vile that WWE's censors had to bleep multiple words. Based on what wasn't censored and what fans in the arena heard clearly, Liv made comments about Stephanie's family background in Mexico, Stephanie's career before WWE in degrading terms, Stephanie's relationship with Dominik using explicit language, Stephanie's appearance in ways that were body-shaming and misogynistic. The comments were so offensive that multiple people in the crowd were shown with their mouths hanging open in disbelief. This wasn't typical wrestling heat, this was genuine bigotry and misogyny being broadcast on national television. But the most infuriating part? Dominik was standing right there, and instead of defending Stephanie or telling Liv to stop, he was smiling. Actually smiling while his supposed romantic interest was being verbally destroyed with racist and sexist language. Stephanie's face went through a range of emotions in about 5 seconds: shock, hurt, rage, and then cold determination. She walked directly toward Liv Morgan, and for a moment everyone thought we were about to see a fight between the two women. But then Stephanie turned to Dominik, and the look she gave him was pure betrayal and fury. Without warning, without telegraphing, Stephanie slapped Dominik across the face so hard that the sound echoed through the entire arena. The crowd exploded. This wasn't a worked wrestling slap where you position your hands and create the sound effect. This was a legitimate strike that left a bright red handprint on Dominik's face and made him stumble backward, holding his cheek in shock. Stephanie grabbed a microphone, and her voice was shaking with genuine emotion. "You stood there and smiled while she talked about me like that? You let your little girlfriend disrespect my family, my heritage, my worth as a person, and you smiled." Dominik tried to respond. "Stephanie, I didn't," but Stephanie cut him off. "Shut up. I am done with you, Dominik. I'm done with the Judgment Day. I'm done being disrespected by people who think I'm just some accessory to make you look good. And Liv? You just made the biggest mistake of your career." Stephanie then launched herself at Liv Morgan, and the two women started brawling with an intensity that was genuinely shocking. This wasn't choreographed wrestling, this was two performers who were clearly working stiff, delivering real strikes, pulling hair, fighting like they genuinely hated each other. Security and referees immediately tried to separate them, but both women were fighting so hard that it took almost 15 people to pull them apart. And even then, they were still trying to get at each other, screaming insults, completely uncontrolled. The Judgment Day members tried to intervene, but here's where it got interesting. Finn Balor grabbed Stephanie to pull her back, and Stephanie elbowed him in the face. Damian Priest tried to help, and Stephanie kicked him. She was fighting everyone, making it clear that her rage extended to the entire faction, not just Liv. Dominik was still standing in the ring holding his face, looking absolutely stunned by what was happening. His expression wasn't angry, it was confused and hurt, like he genuinely didn't understand why Stephanie reacted so violently. That's the most infuriating part. Dominik was so deep in his heel character and so accustomed to toxic behavior that he couldn't comprehend why letting someone verbally assault Stephanie with racist and misogynistic comments was wrong. Within minutes of this segment airing, social media exploded. Not with the typical wrestling discourse, but with serious conversations about what WWE allowed Liv Morgan to say on television. Multiple advocacy groups immediately called out WWE for allowing racist language about Stephanie's Mexican heritage. Women's organizations condemned the misogynistic body-shaming comments. Fans were divided between those praising Stephanie for standing up for herself and those criticizing WWE for creating this situation in the first place. The hashtag Stephanie was right trend worldwide within an hour. But so did hashtag WWE goes too far, with thousands of people expressing concern that WWE crossed ethical lines for the sake of creating edgy content. Wrestling journalists started reporting that the segment was heavily scripted but that Stephanie was given freedom to respond authentically to Liv's insults, which essentially means WWE told Liv to say horrible things and told Stephanie to react however she genuinely felt. That's manipulated from a creative standpoint. WWE created a situation where they knew Stephanie would be justifiably furious, captured her genuine emotional response, and then broadcast it as entertainment without considering the ethical implications. Backstage reports paint a picture of chaos after this segment. Stephanie was reportedly inconsolable, crying and saying that she can't believe WWE made me do that and that hearing those insults even knowing they were scripted was deeply traumatic. Multiple female wrestlers came to Stephanie's defense, saying that the comments Liv was scripted to make cross lines that should never be crossed, even in wrestling. Some reportedly confronted WWE's writing team asking why they thought those specific insults were necessary. Liv Morgan was allegedly also upset, saying she felt horrible for having to deliver those lines and that she apologized to Stephanie immediately after the cameras stopped rolling. This suggests Liv didn't want to say those things but was put in a position where refusing could affect her career. Dominik was reportedly confused by the backlash, asking people why everyone was so upset when it's just a storyline. That response shows how disconnected he is from understanding why racist and misogynistic language is harmful regardless of the script. This segment has completely reshaped WWE's women's division storylines. Stephanie Vaquer vs. Liv Morgan is now the hottest feud in women's wrestling, but it's built on a foundation that many find problematic. On one hand, Stephanie is now positioned as a mega babyface, the woman who stood up to disrespect, who refused to tolerate bigotry, who literally slapped misogyny in the face. Her merchandise sales have reportedly skyrocketed since this segment aired. On the other hand, the feud is based on WWE allowing explicitly racist and misogynistic language on television, which sets a dangerous precedent for what's considered acceptable in pursuit of heat. Multiple wrestlers have reportedly expressed concern that if this is now acceptable for getting heel heat, what else will WWE ask them to do? Where are the lines? Who decides what's too far? One veteran wrestler said, "I've been in this business 20 years, and I've never heard WWE allow language like that on television. It's one thing to insult someone's abilities or even their appearance in general terms, but bringing in heritage, family, and explicit degradation? That's different, and it's concerning." Dominik Mysterio is now in a fascinating character position because Stephanie's slap exposed that his heel persona has made him complicit in behavior that even heel characters shouldn't tolerate. Traditionally, even heel wrestlers have some boundaries. A heel might cheat to win, but he doesn't let his allies make racist comments about his girlfriend without consequence. That's not being a good heel, that's being a bad person, and there's a difference. Dominik's character has to make a choice. Does he double down on being with the Judgment Day and Liv Morgan, proving he's completely lost any moral compass? Or does he show some humanity by acknowledging that what Liv said was wrong, creating a potential face turn or character evolution? Fan reaction suggests people want Dominik to face consequences for his inaction. Social media is full of comments like, "Stephanie should have slapped him harder" and "Dominik doesn't deserve her." The slap has positioned Stephanie as sympathetic and Dominik as complicit in toxicity. WWE's creative team has reportedly defended this segment by claiming it generated massive social media engagement and created the most talked about women's storyline in months. They're using metrics to justify content that many find ethically questionable. This is the fundamental tension in modern WWE. The company prioritizes buzz over responsibility. They'll create content that generates controversy because controversy creates conversation, and conversation supposedly drives viewership. But there's a cost to this approach. Wrestlers are put in positions where they have to deliver harmful content. Audiences are exposed to language and behavior that normalizes bigotry. And WWE's brand becomes associated with pushing boundaries in ways that aren't always productive. Triple H has not personally commented on this segment, but sources say he was involved in approving the creative direction and believes it will pay off with a major WrestleMania program. That suggests WWE sees this as successful storytelling rather than a problematic moment. The obvious payoff for this storyline is Stephanie Vaquer vs. Liv Morgan in a match where Stephanie gets revenge. WWE is reportedly planning this for the next pay-per-view, potentially with a stipulation that raises the stakes. But fans are demanding that the match be booked correctly. Stephanie needs to win decisively. After being subjected to racist and misogynistic insults, after slapping Dominik for his complicity, after standing up for herself if Stephanie loses to Liv, it sends the message that speaking up against bigotry gets you punished. The match also needs to be excellent from a work quality standpoint. It can't just be a catfight or a short segment. These are two of WWE's best in-ring performers, and the match needs to reflect that while delivering emotional catharsis for the storyline. Some fans are suggesting the match should be no disqualification to allow for the kind of violent, personal confrontation the storyline demands. Others want it clean so that Stephanie beats Liv on pure ability without any interference or controversy. Stephanie Vaquer slapped Dominik Mysterio after Liv Morgan's insane insult that crossed every line of decency with racist and misogynistic language that WWE should have never allowed on television. The slap heard around the wrestling world created the hottest women's division storyline in years, but it's built on a foundation of WWE exploiting real pain and genuine offense for entertainment value. Stephanie is now a mega babyface standing against disrespect. Liv is generating nuclear heat, but at what cost? Dominik is exposed as complicit in toxicity. And WWE has shown they'll sacrifice ethics for buzz, putting performers in positions where they have to deliver or receive harmful content for the sake of compelling television. What's your take? Did Stephanie do the right thing by slapping Dominik? Did WWE go too far with what they allowed Liv to say? Should there be limits on heel heat? Explode in the comments because fans are massively divided. If this breakdown gave you the full story with all the controversy, smash the like button and share everywhere. Subscribe to Wrestling News CC because this storyline is developing toward a massive payoff and will cover every angle. Stephanie Vaquer slapped disrespect in the face, and wrestling is debating whether the ends justify the means in storytelling that uses real pain for fictional conflict.